Well, you look very bright and clear today.
Well, that's a change from the other ones. So hopefully it doesn't go fuzzy or whatever as the light changes. I've got my overhead lights closed off and I just have the lights above
Oh,
my
yeah, yeah.
under my cabinets going. So I just have to play with sort of where it makes more sense.
Figure out the settings and all that kind of stuff. But you're right about as it gets darker, it will
Yeah,
definitely,
it'll
it'll
get
even
better.
out the color a bit more. But
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you have a new camera that's making you not blurry.
There you go.
I like being able to see your face.
Oh, there you go. I like seeing your face too.
Thanks. You are pretty used to seeing my face, though.
True. True. So
Oh,
funny.
well, we have a sad task at hand today. I mean, happy because we get to
Too.
chat with her, but
I know. It's always bittersweet. These days are
yeah.
always bittersweet because we get to chat with an amazing baker that
Hmm.
we've grown to love over the last number of weeks on Great Canadian
Yep.
Baking Show. But at the same time, it's so sad that we won't be able to see them bake anymore in the Great Canadian Baking Show tent.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and today is no exception.
No, it's very, very true. And this lovely woman has kept us laughing
Oh,
week after week after week.
yeah.
And I mean, this is a great season for bakers. It's a great season for people with a sense of humor. So I
Oh,
have no doubts that there are still people in left in the tent. No, I know for sure that will keep us laughing. But
absolutely.
but I am sad that we had to say goodbye to Rita.
Me too. Me
Yeah.
too. But
Very happy to have her here.
I was just going to say, but the cool thing is we can actually chat with her today. So I cannot wait to have her chat with us, join us, learn
Yeah.
more about her, and yeah, have a good conversation.
Yes, it'll be great. All right. Well, without further ado, let's introduce Rita.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi, Rita.
welcome.
Oh my gosh, so happy to
So
be in your kitchen with you.
I know.
Thank
And
you.
you have the coolest kitchen. I
Yes.
love, love, love it.
It's
I
so
love it
retro,
too. Yeah, it is retro, but the appliances are relatively new.
but they look really retro. That's
Exactly.
amazing.
Meaning relatively new that we did the kitchen in 2012. So,
Okay,
Okay, that's still
yeah.
that's
relatively
still
new.
new.
Yeah.
I'm at the age where now I realize that I'm actually old. But because everything past 1984 sounds new to me. 1983 sounds old, 1984 sounds new.
Ah, that's the cutoff.
Yeah, I guess somehow that my brain decided that 1984 was like the new age. That's where I'm at, just stuck in 1984 sometimes.
There you
Oh,
go.
that's
It was a
awesome.
good year. 84 was a good year.
Was it a good year? I
Sure.
don't remember much about it, but yeah, the 80s were good in general. I can't complain about them.
They were great.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
Best music in the 80s.
Very
I
much
think
so.
some people might disagree, but we'll go for that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Well, okay.
definitely.
Some of the best era of music in the 80s.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the kids today, my kids, my youngest, who's going to be 23 next month, he knows all of the songs that I was singing in the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, everything old is new again.
Right.
Great news for us, right?
Yeah. For
As long
sure.
as it includes us as well, then we're good. So we're new again. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Perfect. Perfect. I
Yeah.
love how Reja refers to people's ages in US dollar years.
Yeah.
He's just the best. He
Yeah.
he he truly is. I'm gonna put do not disturb on here so I don't have phone ringing and
Yeah, I just did the same. Turned off
Yeah,
my,
I did the same thing just before. Yeah.
I had a notification telling me that our Zoom is about to start.
Hmm.
I
Thank you.
that's awesome.
didn't know that. So
Oh,
thank you for joining us, Rita. I really, as sad as I am that you're here, I said to you in a message, I'm so looking forward to talking to you, but I hope it's not for a long time.
Thank you. Yeah.
And here we
No,
are.
it was a great run. Like
Yes.
episode 6, quarterfinals. I baked well
you
most
did.
days.
Yes.
Oh,
And
that's great.
I had the odd disaster as what will happen. And yeah, I'm real happy with how I baked and just the journey of it all.
I
Yeah,
think you should be. Yeah,
absolutely should be.
definitely. You
Yeah,
got
it's
really like so far in this journey. Sorry, the dogs are scratching the comforter and I don't want them to wreck it. Um, and we have so enjoyed watching you this whole time. And it was this week was particularly tough, I think. Like the level of competition this whole season has been quite crazy, like high level, very, very strong baking the whole way around. And you just had just enough of an off day
Oh yeah, definitely.
that we had to,
I've done a lot of things with macarons, but burning them has never happened.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
really unfortunate. And it's odd because apparently those ovens turn off with people's crotches.
I have the same oven. My wall oven is the same oven. So
No.
I know some of its quirks.
You're
Um,
lucky.
yeah, so
Bit of
I
an
was,
advantage.
well, kind of an advantage, right? In a way that I knew where the on-off button was and that kind of stuff, and how to set the temperature and the like.
Yeah.
And some of the little nuances. But with the caliber of baker there and how intuitive the other bakers were, they figured out everything very, very fast.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are? Because we have really, I mean, this year we've gotten to see a lot more of the behind the scenes stuff. We've gotten all those little fun glimpses. So we've got a good sense of your personality.
Yes,
We know about your daughter, but we'd
yes.
like to know a little bit more about you also.
So, born and raised in Calgary, met Jeff in 1985. Got married in 1986, and we've moved to. We were in Montreal for a couple of years, and we were in Winnipeg for 5 years. And then Elizabeth came along in 1994, and I worked full time with my family. My dad and my brothers and myself had a trucking company, and then Elizabeth my daughter got a little bit too busy, and so I quit. And I jokingly refer to, as she got into elite sport, that I was logistics and Jeff was finance, because he had to support it all, and he did a phenomenal job with that.
Nice.
Yeah. So born and raised in Calgary. My parents were Dutch immigrants. They met in Canada. But my mom immigrated and her family in 51, and my dad and his family in 52, and then they met. So so me in a nutshell, retired baker, traveler. I've been fortunate to go to many places because of Elizabeth's sporting, and now she lives in Austria. Wonderful. With her 2 kids. So I get to go back and forth. And so that's an awesome blessing as well. I have lots of friends at church and people that I've had relationships with for the years. And those are some of the best things in a life, right? Good Absolutely. Relationships. Definitely. And I baked from the time I can't ever remember a time that I didn't bake. And I'd be helping mom in the kitchen, and she was a very amazing cook and a very good baker and the like. So she just taught me, and then she would get busy and I would just bake. And so baking has always been kind of in the background. When I was working, I didn't have quite the luxury of time to bake, and when Elizabeth was younger, but when she got a little bit older and I had stopped working outside the home, I was the one who brought the treats. The kids remembered in school the yellow bag, the party bag, and it always had treats in it. And so and baking has always been therapeutic for me. Maybe not necessarily in the tent at times, but it has been. And when Elizabeth ended up in the elite sport level, we offset some of her sliding expenses with sugar cookies that I would decorate and sell, and that helped offset some of her expenses for travel and equipment and the like.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is incredible. So obviously baking meant a lot to you over the years, and always it was kind of that fallback passion that you always had in you. What made you decide to apply for Great Canadian Baking Show?
So that goes now back again to my mom, because my mom passed away in February of 2022. And she was a huge, well, thank you. She was a huge fan of the show. And so, especially during COVID, she really got caught up on all of them, because my mom's faculties were kind of slipping. So my sister-in-law or one of my nieces would come over, and then they would watch the baking show. And then she would fall asleep during the baking show and then wonder what happened to so-and-so the next time they watched. So they watched all the Great British baking shows, and they watched all the Great Canadian baking shows. And so in honor of Mom, who taught me how to bake, I applied that year. Now, Elizabeth's athletic career ended abruptly in 2021. So I was at home now. I wouldn't have been able to apply earlier because I went on tour with her to be support. And so it was just perfect timing. So the first time I applied was in 2022, but the cutoff was really, Mom passed away in February. And by the time I gathered my wits and what I wanted to do, it was too close to the deadline. Mm-hmm. And then I was contacted the next year, hey, the applications are open. We'd like you to apply again. And so then all the COVID restrictions were lifted by this point. We had, I did the application process. I did the Zoom interview with Helen, and then did the casting event in Edmonton, where I met Erica.
Right.
And so, yeah, it was awesome. And so I went through the whole process with that, met Grace and Meredith, and just had a wonderful day there. Especially, well, it was so busy that we spent hours together. So, getting to know Erica and some of the other bakers that were there. And some people had come from Calgary and the like, and just talking about our, the commonality, right? And so I got through that part. I got through the Zoom bake along, and that went really well, but I didn't get chosen. And so I had focused so much on sugar cookies that I felt that I needed to diversify my baking skills, and just to be more comfortable with the idea, this is what I was going to apply another season. And Sully, shh, I'm telling a story. And so another season. And so I was in Europe. I sent in my application, and then I did the Zoom interview in Europe with a disaster, because I had bought gelatin. Sully, come boy, Sully. I had bought an instant gelatin, and it was supposed to be done at room temperature, but I didn't have I didn't have Wi-Fi on my phone, so I couldn't Google Translate in the store. So I go to make this thing, and it just is a big flop. But because I had gone through the process, Helen said, no, you don't need to bake anything. But I thought, I'll bake something. And so I did, and it was a huge flop. The mousse didn't set. It was a raspberry white chocolate mousse cake that I had made. And it just went, and my daughter said to me, Mom, you should show it. And so I did. I said, Helen, I had a fail. And so Helen wanted to have a look. So I showed it to her. And then I got back to Calgary and did the casting event in just at the beginning of February, I think it was. And then did the Zoom bake along. And then at the last Friday in March, spoke at Helen and was chosen. So yeah, it's been like pretty much of a roller coaster, maybe. A really exciting time. And I don't know if I would have had the determination that Jen had to apply for 8 seasons. But the timing was just so perfect for me. And it was a way to honor my mom and something to do for myself, because my focus had been so much on Elizabeth's athletic career that it was a good opportunity for me to do something that I'm good at and just have a great experience. And that's what it was.
Oh, that is so wonderful. So when you did get that call and they said, Rita, we want you to be in season 8 of Great Canadian Baking Show. What did that feel like?
It was so super exciting and surreal. And I screamed, if you can imagine. And yeah, so no, it was just a culmination of everything, and you know, just the experience of working with through the Zoom bake-alongs, and you're getting to know people, right? Mm-hmm. Especially if you've done the casting events more than once, and the like, and so you get a bit of a rapport, and so it was exciting. And it was, yeah, it was just so manic there for weeks. And my daughter at the same time was doing her master's degree through the International Olympic Committee and the University of Ottawa. And she would have to go, she went 4 times during the year to different places. And so I needed to go to Austria in the midst of all of this to yeah, so during the practice weeks, I went to Austria.
Wow.
And because you're not supposed to tell anybody, I just let people think that I was still there. Yeah. Because I go away for extended periods of time. So I even my brothers, I have 4 brothers, and I sent them a note. I'm heading to Europe. I don't know when I'm going to be back. And I won't have access to my phone. So, yeah, so then I was able to, but that helped me because Calgary's a desert, and Calgary's a crazy high altitude. Mm-hmm. And so it gave me an opportunity to do some prep in a more humid climate at a lower altitude. So I made macarons there. I did some of my other stuff that was there. And of course the European ovens are smaller than a half sheet pan. Right. Yeah. And so, you know, you're balancing that way. And my daughter's apartment, the freezer's in the basement because it's just a fridge. And I was working on my Wellington, and I was going up and down up the stairs, cooling the dough. But you know what? It already had gotten me out of my comfort zone, being in my kitchen and being able to do things that way. So yeah, so I was in Europe till the week before I went to Toronto. And, wow. Yeah, so it was kind of crazy. And then
it's great crazy though.
yeah, it was. And so I got home, and then they did the bio 2 days after, and they said, well, we want to do you in the morning because we have someone else that we need to do in the afternoon. And so it was like, oh, I sure hope it's Erica.
Oh yeah, and then when you saw each other in the tent,
we saw each other on the airplane, waiting for the flight, so we were on the same flight, and so
you couldn't like say anything at that point.
So because we hadn't contacted each other, like the year before, I sent her a note like, "Have you heard anything?" And but so for this year, she was hoping that it was me because again, you get to know somebody, right? Yeah. And I was hoping that it was her. Yeah. And so I'm sitting in the departures lounge, and there she came. So it was just wonderful.
Oh, that is crazy.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you guys put 2 and 2 together at the departure lounge that
we
were going to the same place?
We were like, we hope it's each other. Like when they told us, because she was also told that we have to do your profile in the afternoon because we weren't supposed to. We knew once we saw each other that where we were going.
Yes, yeah.
How awesome for you guys. And that is so cool that you guys met up the year before at the auditions, and then obviously.
And then in Calgary, we met up again.
Nice.
Like, so for the casting event, like I was behind her, she was behind me, but it was the same order that we were in Edmonton. So yeah, no, it was just awesome.
Yeah. Meant to be.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, that's one of the most wonderful things about the whole, baking shows and being on Instagram and all those kinds of things is how you end up having a baking family, right?
Right. Yes.
And how exciting to be able to be in the tent at the same time as, someone who's in your family. That's just,
right.
So
that's
wonderful.
amazing.
So there's hope for you too.
I don't think we will ever be in the tent at the same time.
We probably won't be in the tent at the same time.
We're just a
Trying.
little too alike and a little
Yeah.
too much the same demographic.
Well,
But
and that's the same thing. That's the thing too, because I didn't take it personally when I didn't get chosen the year before,
Yeah.
because they're looking for a diversified group of people.
yes.
And like I would joke that I was the white grandma, right?
Yeah.
And retired and the like. So yeah, so it's not like you're going after 10 spots in the tent. You're going after one, maybe two,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then I was with, you know, such a great group of people. And it was just marvelous.
They were
that is so fantastic.
Yeah,
So
we really feel the same way, that this cast is just gold.
oh,
You know, it's been so enjoyable. Just every single week we get so excited to watch, and then so sad when we have to lose someone, because we just have enjoyed everybody so, so much. And the talent is just through the roof.
insane.
Yeah, the talent is unbelievable. Like, you know, you have your mind fixed on what you're going to do, and then you look around at what people are putting together. Like the day that Marcus made that brioche laminated dough for the fika, like I nearly fell over. Like I was like looking over to him, I was like, are you doing what I think you're doing?
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. It tasted amazing.
Yeah, he is definitely the laminated dough king of season 8. Amazing. What a talent there.
And
yeah,
all of them. Guillaume,
absolutely. Everybody.
Erica, you know, the younger group, Erica, Guillaume, Marcus, Pamela, so talented.
Yeah, everybody.
It's a joy
Everybody.
to watch.
Yeah, I said to Marcus, like, if I would have had your talent at your age, I can't imagine what I'd be doing now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you would have wanted to do it for a living?
Me?
Yeah.
Something in foods, you know, like a little. My daughter and I talked about this. We were traveling around in Europe, and there was a little, you know, the little Italian 3-wheel delivery trucks.
Yeah.
And it was a coffee truck. And I said, now this would be something that would be fun to do, right? That you just have some pastries and you just go to different places and stuff like that. Yeah. But again, you know, for myself, I have a pretty amazing life that I'm able to do baking, and I do a little bit of catering and the like, and be able to have the freedom that if I'm needed overseas, I can go overseas.
Yeah. That's wonderful to have that flexibility and to be able to support your daughter in her ventures, and then get to see your grandkids as well. That's fantastic. It's sounds like you're living your best life right now, Rita. And
oh, definitely.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I have, you know, it's not without its issues, of course, but I'm truly blessed.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
That is.
I'm glad. That's one of the things that we have really noticed about you, is just that you have such a joy inside.
Yes, you know? because there are hard stuff that goes along. One of the things that happened before I got to the tent is my daughter decided to enter marriage.
Oh.
And so I left Europe, and she decided, you know, a few days before I went to Toronto, that she was going to enter marriage. And, you know, as heartbreaking as that is, and I wanted to go to be with her.
Yeah.
The reality is, for both her and me, the tent was a great diversion, right? Yeah. Because, you know, you're leaving for the tent at 6 a.m. and I have some circulation issues with my legs. So I always have massagers, lower leg massagers. And so I would wake up at 5, do my leg stuff, FaceTime with her. We talk about, you know, just what was going to happen that day and the like. And then I'd head off to the tent, leaving my phone and all electronics behind. Yeah. And so, you know, she was able to reach out to some friends of ours to, like, if she had, you know, to work through some things or just bounce things off of people. Yeah. So, you know, that was that was in the background, but the reality is I didn't want to waste the opportunity of being melancholy in the tent, right?
Yeah.
You know, it was still an amazing privilege, and it was such a great distraction for both of us. And she got to know the bakers, because we would be FaceTiming and there'd be a knock on the door or whatever, and it was like, oh, here's so and so or whatever. And so, you know, like she ended up knowing the people, or knowing some of the people before the show aired, and she's able to watch all the shows from home.
From
so
where she is, that's great.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So at any moment being a mama, your heart had to be breaking for your daughter. Was there any time that you thought you might not do the show?
You know, before it became a little bit more public, I was thinking, I really want to go over there. But as soon as I knew that she had some support, like her dad, of course, and you know, a couple of really good friends who've gone through similar situations that she was going through, that could give her, okay, you're going to be fine. You're going to get through this kind of thing. It gave me the freedom, because I have that support network, right? These friends, these relationships that go back years, that she could reach out to them, right? We have a friend who would FaceTime her every day on her drive from Okotoks, which is 20 minutes outside of Calgary, and into work without fail, you know, and, you know, just to be an encourager to her, to be a soundboard to her and stuff like that. So it gave me the freedom that I was able to bake and have fun, you know, like, of course, there were times where I'd be sitting there baking and I go, oh, dear Lord, please be looking after her. Right. And after her kids and that kind of thing, and get back to the matter at hand. And I was able to, you know, talk to the other bakers and let them know, you know, some of the story and that kind of thing. And you develop such a nice camaraderie with everybody, that everybody's cheering each other on. Right. And helping them with whatever arises. And so, you know, I was able to talk to, you know, just to be able to be open with the people that I was with, be it the bakers or the producers, you know, and just here it is. And really make the best of it, because I wanted to honor my mom. Right. And to be able to be an encourager. I'm naturally an encourager. And so, I take things lightly for the most part, because in my thinking, there's enough serious things that are happening in the world that we can just have a time of lightness in the tent. You're baking in a tent, right? There's only been 80 of us to have that opportunity. And for myself, being eliminated at the quarterfinal, I was one of 40. That's a pretty phenomenal way to look at it.
It really is.
And everybody's just so wonderful. Yeah, you know, the people that are working the cameras, you know, the culinary people, the people that are running and the like, and everybody's just so. I said, there's nobody here that should be looking for a different type of work,
right?
Because they were just, you know those people where you go, you don't seem happy doing what you're doing. You should maybe move on. But there was not a soul that worked for the production, that worked for all the different areas, that I could say, yeah, you should maybe look to do something else. They were that kind of people.
Everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be. I
Wow.
felt that too, like in my dealings over the years when I've applied and auditioned and having gone to the casting in Vancouver this past season, and being able to meet in person a lot of the people that I had only talked to via email or on Zoom calls and stuff. And everybody that was working there, they just enjoy it so much. And it just really contributes to that feeling of happiness, like that kind of is pervasive throughout the whole entire show, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's wonderful.
Well, and you certainly brought all the light and the joy. And seriously, it's been such a privilege and honor to watch you.
Thank you.
in that tent, and you look like you were really enjoying yourself, even this past week, right? When things didn't go probably as planned as what you wanted, how you had seen them or practiced them in your own.
They're right there.
Oh,
I love that
love
design.
them.
You see them?
Yeah. Oh, not
There you
there
go.
they are.
Oh, they're so. Oh, so
cute.
there's the leaf. So we were
Yes.
wondering about, are they sugar cookie leaves?
Yeah. So what the plan was, if I only had to make one batch of macarons, was that I would do a sugar cookie, a pistachio sugar cookie that I would color the dough and cut out the leaves.
Oh,
and I would have had enough time if I hadn't have had to bake macarons twice.
I can't believe you baked macarons twice. In I think it was what 2 hours.
2 hours and 15 minutes, I think.
2 hours 15, I think.
That's
I'll double check.
Oh, thank you.
My handy dandy notebook. Yeah, you did amazing.
Incredible. So how do you know how they got burnt? Because it's difficult to do that.
Yeah.
2 hours 15 minutes.
Yeah. So the method that I use to bake them is you don't even preheat the oven until you're piping them.
Oh, wow.
It's a lady that she has a shop out of Okotoks, and she does a lot of sugar cookie cutters and stuff like that. And she has this method of doing macarons, because Calgary is weird, right? Going back to the altitude and the dry climate and that kind of thing. And I could never get macarons to work. And I used her method. And you don't even let them sit.
Huh. Interesting.
It's just you make them. It's a French meringue. You make them. You're not weighing anything, and I weigh everything. I know, it's just the craziest thing. It shouldn't work.
You should not weigh them.
No, you don't weigh them. You measure them with cup, and it's like, this shouldn't work, and like, but it does.
Christina's
I am stunned.
I know,
I'm absolutely stunned.
Yeah,
because that's amazing.
And that's the only reason I was able to make a second batch.
Yeah.
Right? Because I put them in, I turn them after 5 minutes, and then after the next 5 minutes, I cover them with foil so they don't get too brown. And like, you're not preheating the oven. Like I made sure when we were doing our culinary checks that the oven was off. Right? Because they always have the oven preheated for us.
Right.
And so the oven was off, and I started it I had done the day before in the hotel, no problems at all. It was perfect. And so then I get to the tent, and I have the opportunity that I can make the sugar cookies because my macarons go in the oven so fast. Yeah. And I turned them after 5 minutes, and they had perfect feet, and they were looking beautiful. And then I opened the door again, and it was like, surprise, a bad surprise. And then I came up with my macarons.
Yeah, I love that.
Macarons are sad.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
And then started over again and got them in the oven but unfortunately, because of that, I didn't have an opportunity for them to cool down properly. And I ended up using fondant for my leaf because I needed to have something to put them on. But because of everything, I couldn't get my ganache to set up. And I was a little flustered. Like, I did recover, but I wasn't baking on all cylinders at that point. It was like, because macarons are always a little bit persnickety. And it was like, I've had all sorts of disasters with macarons, and this is a first, right? And it just happens.
Yeah. Well, that tent, right? It's that tent. It's crazy. There are so many different elements that are not normal.
Yes, exactly.
And one little misstep you can go from masterpiece to compost.
Oh, the compost.
That was a great
That was
line.
awesome.
So many Rita lines that I'm like, that's part of my lexicon now. I have to keep these things like
and my own vocabulary there.
Oh man, it's fabulous. And being married for 38 years, and it feels like 5 minutes underwater.
That is the line of the entire series of Great Canadian Baking Show, I think. And, that was just pure comedy gold.
A deadpan.
It really was. Yes.
I have literally been saying that same joke for years though. So my husband is rolling his eyes. Our
Of
daughter is
course.
rolling her eyes. And it's like, Anne nearly fell into the oven. You
Oh
know?
my God, that was funny. It was so funny.
But it's
Yeah.
about knowing your audience, right? You say it to
Yeah.
your family and you know that they're going to roll their eyes, but you get
Yes.
fresh ears. And
Yes.
you had millions of fresh ears that all,
Yeah.
have taken it as, okay, now that is comedy gold.
Yes,
So you can be
absolutely.
reassured, even if your family doesn't think you're funny. We think,
Yeah. Well, and you know what? We have a sense of humor in the house, right? Again, it goes back to life is hard. And
Yeah.
so we might as well laugh, and sometimes it's inappropriate laughter where you shouldn't be laughing.
Yeah.
But generally it's a lightheartedness, right?
Yeah.
And one of the other things that I wanted to portray is or to be myself, because I have two grandkids.
Yeah.
Right. And my granddaughter's too young to understand what was going on, but my grandson knew that I was in a baking show.
That's
right. And he's going to be able to watch it with his mom, and I don't know if they've started watching it or whatever together. She's watched all of it.
Yeah.
So, I didn't want to not be myself.
Absolutely. That makes it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And that's, I'm generally a lighthearted person. I'm an encourager. Try to get people out of their heads when they're baking, and be kind. Kindness costs nothing.
Exactly.
No.
And so, to be kind to the people that I was in the tent with, be it my fellow bakers or be it the people that are working, please and thank you, listening, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just common courtesy. And I think our world is lacking that. And so for me to portray that in the tent is me being me. My husband and my daughter were also very concerned about me being with the mic. Like, what is she going to say? Because things just get said. Hopefully it's enjoyable. My poor husband, we were watching the show and he's sitting on the couch and he's like, I could just see him getting more stressed. It wasn't this last Sunday's episode. It was an earlier episode. And I'm not stressed at all because I know what happened, but I can't remember all the things I said though.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, right. I said that because, talking to the judges, a lot of that stuff didn't make it on into the final edit because you're standing in front of the judges for the showstopper, judging for 7-8 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And then they just take a snippet, right? And they have to go through their different procedures as to how they're holding things and the like, and their comments, and maybe having to fix them because you cannot say the word Olympic.
Oh,
really?
Because it is a copyright.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
So there was when I did the cookie map of San Moritz, Bruno says at one point in time the Olympics, and it's like, no, we got to redo that and the like. So yeah.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
And that's tough because that's a big part of your story and your daughter's story that you were telling for a few of your bakes, actually.
Yeah.
But you can get around it by, as was shown on the video that the CBC posted, of me talking about the 2018 Winter Games and bang, as long as you don't add the word Olympic, it's fine.
Yes. It was making me second guess myself because I'm so not a sportsy person and I don't really watch the Olympics much. Like I'll catch snippets here and there.
Right.
But I was like, oh, her daughter's an Olympian. And then I was like, wait, maybe she's not, because I never heard the word Olympics, right? And then I was like, okay, yeah, Winter Games, yeah, Pyeongchang. Okay, yeah, that tracks. I'm pretty sure that's the Olympics.
Yeah.
Showing my ignorance, but
But like if you don't, because the different things, the different protocols that the athletes have to follow when they end up at the games, they cannot have any of their sponsors. They can't have, so they're very restrictive on the word Olympic. But here on the podcast, I can say my daughter is a 2018 skeleton Olympian.
Just
Bravo.
amazing.
Thank you. Incredible.
Just like the scariest one you can do, but What a
Yeah.
sport. Wow. Amazing. Way to go, Elizabeth.
Yes, that's incredible. What a huge accomplishment. What a lot of work that goes into
Yes.
that, and a lot of work on yours and your husband's part to support, and like you were her support. So traveling around the world.
Yeah, and we did a lot of fundraising dinners. We would have these fundraising dinners for her with a dessert auction, and I would make all the desserts except like my mom would make her trifle and that kind of thing. And people would spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a pie,
Wow,
just to
that's
just to
incredible.
be able to support her. So yeah, that part was just phenomenal.
Yeah, and it probably had a lot to do with the quality of your pie as well, Rita. It was delicious and worth that much and more.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Well, was there, were you happy with the way that you were portrayed? Were you happy with
Oh yes.
the way everything showed?
Oh, definitely. I because you don't know, and like because there's so much, they're condensing so much into a short period of time. I think the editing for that what happened for myself was just awesome.
Good. Yeah. It definitely put you in a perfect light. Like we were just like in love with you the whole entire time.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
But we
Even
did
before the show started,
Yeah.
like when they started doing all the sneak peeks of
the
who was in
bios.
the tent and all the bios and everything, it was just okay. I love Rita. I love
Yeah.
everybody on the show. It is just such a beautiful cast of people, and yeah, we're so excited for it to start.
Yeah.
And I think this year, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're learning a whole lot more about all of the bakers as well. There seems to be a lot more behind the scenes stuff going on, the little snippets. You guys just did that little dancing feet number.
Yeah.
The gender.
That I got wrong, but they didn't hardly notice.
I didn't notice.
I didn't
It was
notice either.
great.
I just thought I saw all the cuteness of that video. It was adorable.
I think just the social media aspect, right?
Yes.
And that they're able to take things that are behind the scenes, some of the posts that I have been a part of, just being able to put those, and it's like, oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then you get an invitation to go along with one of their social media posts. So I think in that aspect, they've really been able to use the social media to generate interest. Like today, I think it was Erica's mousse macarons, which were phenomenal.
Yes.
And they were hilarious all at the same time, and just a riot. And so to be able to incorporate some of the things that people have already seen on the show, or be able to teasers to go ahead, and I've been blessed to have a couple of my highlights, the macarites or the macarons.
Yes.
And the joke with Anne, and
Yes.
like I didn't anticipate anything like that. I knew, we had done the workout, and we just howled. Of course, I think everything's funny that I do, so that's a little bit. But
no, but I 100% agree. I'm thinking that is so true.
Yeah, so it was just an opportunity to show just different aspects of the bakers, and I think we also have the luxury that we got, like for myself, I missed one episode because I'm back for the finale.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was able to be part of more of the weeks that went on, like the talking about Halloween and that kind of thing, and the exercise, and I didn't know how they were going to tie that, because I had already done the cookie map kind of thing, but just the way that it came together, and oh yeah, my shadow box is another tribute to my daughter and her first win in Whistler, and where her top speed was over 140 kilometers an hour. She's wearing a helmet, people. Imagine. She's wearing a helmet.
But I'm scared for her body.
Even with the helmet. That is the most terrifying sport.
And a spandex suit. So.
Oh, see, just even watching Cool Runnings, and that's a bobsled. That's not even a skeleton. Like they have something around them. It just
and they're going head first.
Head first. Yeah.
They go head first.
Yeah. But you have more control from your upper body than you do from luge with their feet.
Sure. Okay. We'll go with that one.
She started off so young that I had to sign off, because most of the athletes that come into skeleton or bobsleigh it's their second sport. They've gone through college football, or gone through hockey, or they've gone through track and field. But Elizabeth got into skeleton when she was 14 years old.
How?
Yeah.
My husband met the Canadian luge team on a flight, and they just got talking, and she was too old at that time for luge. Like, luge starts really young, and she was too young for bobsleigh, and so skeleton fit, and she loved it.
Wow.
That's crazy. And then you have, obviously, living in Calgary,
we had the track,
all of the 88 Olympic legacy facilities there. So
yes, unfortunately, we do not have the track anymore. They blew up the top part of it to increase the ski hill.
Oh, so where did your daughter do the majority?
Well, she did like, this was toward the end of her career that Calgary, when Calgary did not get the 2026 games, then they did track, the top of the track. They blew it up. And so then the main training facility here, it would be in Whistler.
Okay.
And so every fall we would go out to Whistler. When Calgary was still open, we went out every fall to Whistler, and we went out every spring to Whistler as well. And then trained in Calgary. But she was on World Cup from 2014 till her career ended. And so she spent the majority of time in Europe then.
Yeah. Wow.
That's
You must
crazy.
be so proud. I mean,
we
can see how proud you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I am. She worked hard.
No kidding. She would have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it wasn't easy. There was lots of stuff that she had to contend with, and but she was able to get to the Olympics, and she's multiple World Cup podium.
That's amazing.
She's
amazing.
Google her. She'll show up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to.
She just finished her master's. Is that correct?
Yes. So she's working on, she finished her master's degree in September.
Mm-hmm.
We were in, she graduated in Olympia, Greece.
Wow.
And so, more of the backstory, I ended up spending most of my summer in Europe just because of things that happened with her the end of her marriage. Mm-hmm. And so her graduation was going to be in Greece. So, and she had one more session of school to do. So we went to Athens. We started off in Athens, and then she went with her classmates to Olympia, and then I kind of toured around and found the sea. And then we met up again in Olympia. And then the next day, that's crazy. Next day after that, we went back to Innsbruck and picked up her kids. It's like you're picking them up from a drive-through or something. No, we flew back to Munich, drove to Innsbruck, drove back to Munich the next day, and then we flew to Orlando because I was turning 60, and it was what we had planned long time ago. So yes,
that's wonderful. So you had some great quality family time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even with
a way to celebrate.
Yeah, exactly. And even with the stress that was going on in her situation, she and I made the decision that we were going to enjoy ourselves.
Good.
Right. And again, a lot of it ends up being, if you go with the idea that you're going to have fun, mm-hmm. there's a really good chance that you're going to have fun.
Yeah.
If you go with the idea that you're not going to have fun, you are not going to have fun.
Yeah,
right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all in your mindset, right?
It's self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. You lead with, we're going to have a miserable time. Well, we are, but, I was able to, she does some contract work with, it's called the International Testing Agency, and it's with regards to athlete doping. And so she goes as an instructor. So we were in Poland for a few days, and it was like, we went to Poland, like.
You are well traveled.
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love traveling. I really missed it during COVID. I was so scared I was never going to be able to get off this island again. I tell you, I was just like, what if,
Yeah. But we were traveling during COVID because of her career.
Yeah.
And we ended up, she was at the test event in Beijing. So we were in Beijing and I was taking care of her little boy. She made a comeback after having her baby.
Wow. Good for
Yeah.
her.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you get to see your grandchildren much more than you would think for someone who lives in Calgary and has children, grandchildren living in Austria. It's
Yes,
pretty
exactly.
impressive that you get
Yeah.
to still watch them grow up and be there hands-on.
Yes, exactly. And not miss out on the events of their lives.
Yeah.
Right.
That is
And
so
especially when we only have one child.
Mhm.
So Jeff and I normally alternate, and he'll go and hang out with them and give her support so she can work on her schoolwork and stuff like that. Because she's working on a second master's degree right now as well. So yeah, so
Wow.
she'll finish that up in the spring, and then she's
Good
got
for
some others.
her.
Yeah, yeah.
And do you think she'll stay in Europe, or do you think there's a chance she might come home to Canada?
As much as I would love to have her home, her ex is Austrian.
So yeah,
And
she's got to stay there with the kids.
Yeah,
The kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
makes total sense.
yeah.
It does.
It's it's hard because she doesn't have a safety net. Right.
Mhm.
Her safety net is in Canada. And so, she has to develop her community and that kind of thing there too, that she has support and like. And
How long has she been in Austria?
she has been in Austria since her career ended. She's been in Austria full time since her career ended. So the end of 2021.
Okay. A few
And
years.
you'd said that her career ended abruptly. Was she injured?
No, it was politics.
Oh, that's rough.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch. That's the worst.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet we still find the joy.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? That's also a choice, right? Because she was able to meet wonderful people, and she was able to have wonderful experiences and travel the world and go to an Olympic Games and go to world championships and that kind of thing, and just meet people from all over the world. And now she sits on the board for the International Bobsleigh Skeleton Federation as an athlete rep. So, those relationships continue on.
Yeah. And it's wonderful that she's still in the sport, but just in a different way.
Yes.
So that keeps her connected and probably just, that's wonderful that she was able to do that and
Mm-hmm.
Great.
find a good career and niche afterwards, because I think that's probably the toughest thing as anything that you're doing. You have this one passion and then it ends, and then what do you do? And
where are you going to transition? Like, what's your, and for a lot of athletes, they struggle with that afterwards, right? Because they've been, having their mindset on this one event for so many years. And when it ends, either by choice and most athletes don't get the choice, right? That it ends. And so, for her to be able to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do now, and take care of her education and the like, and just continue on with life. It's like very admirable.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You must be awfully proud.
Yeah. But I've also said that I'd be awfully proud if she was a garbage man, right? Because her nature is such that she's loving and kind and considerate of people and the like. And so what she has done is not who she is.
That's right.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing for myself as a baker. Baking is what I do, because you go through the process, and what if you get critical judging comments? Doesn't change the fact that I'm a good baker.
Yeah,
that's very true.
Absolutely.
I might have had burnt macarons and the like, and generally the people that have had to leave the tent, something happened.
It's not because they're not a good baker. That's right.
Exactly. And I said that I would rather stay in the tent and have everybody compete high rather than somebody having to leave. I didn't want to stay because somebody had a bad day. Right. I want to be able to, everybody is competing at the same. And it's kind of strange to call it a competition because it's baking.
It's So
it's to be able to bake at such a high level. If something goes wrong, I would rather that everybody has done phenomenally,
Mhm.
and it makes it very difficult for the judges. And I think that was evident in the Arts and Crafts Week.
Oh
You
my
know,
goodness.
there was just a couple of minor things
So
that,
minor.
So
Yeah.
minor.
So minor.
you know,
So
that,
minor.
yeah. And it's like, okay. And, you know, the technical judging, it's so close too, because it's not like, you know, just small things had issues, right?
That,
And
I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did that.
I
That
don't know how we I don't know how we did it neither. Oh my goodness. And Erica was behind me, and Erica was just being able to move through it so well. And it's like, okay, what do I have to do next, kind of thing. And the like, and I had never made Italian buttercream before that day. I may have tried it once, but I can't remember when, because I make Swiss meringue buttercream. And I was thinking to myself afterwards, I should have just made Swiss meringue buttercream, because all the ingredients are the same, right?
Yeah,
But
they probably wouldn't have noticed.
No, exactly, because it was my icing that was the problem. And that and the finishing of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. You were baking in a tent, and
I was baking in a tent. Every time that I went in there, I went in with the idea that I get to bake in a tent. It's not I have to bake in a tent. I get to bake in a tent, right?
You know,
mindset.
You know who you remind me of, Rita? You remind me of Stephen Levitt.
Oh yeah.
In all the best ways, because that was what he said that he would do every day. He would be walking into the tent, and it was like the first time every time. And he said, I get to bake today.
Yeah.
You know? And he always was saying, you know, find the joy. And then there's you reminding everybody as you're leaving,
yes,
have fun. Remember to have fun. You know?
Yeah. And then I hope they can have fun without me.
Yeah. Well, they would never have as much fun without you.
No, definitely
no.
But yeah, it was I never wanted to take it for granted, because I knew how many people, like if you go to the casting events, that's just the tip, right? And then how many people get to do the Zoom bake along, you know, and how many people apply, and how many people, their applications don't even get considered, you know, and then to be able to have the Zoom meetings and stuff like that. I knew how special of a situation it was. And I did not want to take 1 minute for granted.
Good for you.
Well, it did not look like that at all.
Nope.
It just looked like you took full advantage of the opportunity that was given to you, that you worked so hard to get to. And, you know, you again, that joy just poured out of every pore in your body. And it was so evident on, as a viewer watching you. You can really see that you were taking it all in every single time that you got that opportunity to bake in the tent.
Yes, exactly. And I was baking for my mom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she would have been a nervous wreck. Like she would have been hilarious. She would have been coaching from the sidelines and a nervous wreck all at the same time.
I bet. Did she share your sense of humor?
My mom was prim and proper. My mom was the 1950s housewife. I used to joke that you could eat off my mom's floors because they were so clean. You could eat off my floors because there's so many crumbs, right? And so my mom was always like, this had to be like this and this and this. Whereas I am basically seat of the pants a lot of my life because I worked, right? And my mom was a homemaker. And her kitchen was her castle, and you know, the amount of time that she spent in there was just, she would take an entire day to make a lasagna, right? That was her nature. But as she got older, her mind started to slip, and then she became a riot. She was so fun, and she was lighthearted, and it was like, you know, I envision her having that kind of childhood, but as my dad was an alcoholic who recovered, and they were married until the day my mom died. But you know, like there was a lot of just survival mode. Yeah. And so how did that get affected in her personality? And you know, everything had to be perfect. And I have 4 brothers, and the amount of food that she would have to prepare for them, and the stress of having an alcoholic husband. And it's like, yeah, it's no wonder that those light moments got suppressed down.
Yeah. And then at the end of her life, she became who she really was again.
Oh yeah, she chased my grandson around with her wig one time, trying to get him to wear her wig.
Oh,
It was
that's
just
awesome.
a riot. He was also horrified, but you know, yeah, it was just. I have a picture. You know the ceramic Christmas trees with the lights.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I have a picture of her wig on it, and it was like, this isn't the lady that I've known most of my life,
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And so there, you know, toward the end of her life, there was just this lighter part of her, and she was more free to laugh.
yeah.
And so those are great memories to have.
That's wonderful.
That's special.
Mhm.
Did Elizabeth call her Oma?
No, because I had an Oma.
Okay.
So my grandparents, I also had a Paka and a Beppa, which are Frisian.
Wow.
And so then when my parents became grandparents, we still had open Oma and Paka and Beppa. And so they ended up being Granny and Grandpa.
Okay.
Yeah.
My
But
mom
one of
is
my,
Oma to my kids.
but one of my brothers is open Oma.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
I have
That's
a cousin
the same
who's-
sort of thing, right? My
Yeah.
mom is Oma to my kids, and so when I have the blessing of having grandchildren, I can't imagine being Oma.
Yeah. And for myself,
Yes.
my grandkids have an open Oma in Europe, right?
Okay, yes.
So and Jeff has got you know, he's his grandparents were grandma and grandpa, his parents were grandma and grandpa. So he doesn't have that distinction of open Oma, even though, you know, they originated way back when in Germany.
Right, right. So your grandma?
Yeah, grandma and grandpa.
Grandma and grandpa. That sounds good to me. I would like that one day soon, Selah. Anyway.
Hint.
Yeah, I promised myself I would not do that to her. She will not watch this, so that's
Yeah, just did. Just so you know.
knowing she will never see it. But my son might tell her because he does watch every single episode.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. Well, what do you think about playing a little game of this or that?
Oh, I'm ready for it. I'll take some.
Here's the ready.
Cool. Yes.
Okay.
Get prepped.
You want to start us off, Cristina?
I certainly can.
All right.
So you know how it works, right, Rita?
Yes.
Awesome. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Oh,
You were
okay.
so ready for that question.
Yeah, she was so ready. How do you take your coffee?
I have a lovely coffee machine that makes me lattes.
Oh, you gotta love those nice coffee machines that make exactly what you want to drink.
Yes.
Nice.
So good. My husband found this barista machine. I don't remember what the name of it is, like what the actual name brand is, but it was from a coffee shop apparently. And he found it in a thrift store and it wasn't working, so he just refurbished it. And so now every morning at the push of a button, I get what I want to start my day with, and
Lovely.
It wakes him up every time.
Yeah, because the beans get ground, and there you go.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And what do you take in your coffee? Oh, sorry,
just a latte.
Just the latte. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Signature, technical, or showstopper?
Definitely not technical.
Especially the arts and crafts week.
The arts and crafts and the snake.
I saw
the
hencha.
Yeah, so I saw one of those in the Athens airport at this restaurant deli kind of thing, and I sent a picture to Erica, like PTSD. So definitely not technicals.
Okay.
I think probably the signature.
Okay, because it's shorter and you
know, it's getting your feet wet, right?
Yeah.
You know, and even though some of them didn't turn out exactly how I envisioned, I had fun putting them together.
Yeah.
Right?
Which was your favorite signature that you did?
Probably my s'more cookie.
Oh yeah.
That was marshmallows 3 times. And I didn't have the wherewithal to pivot to meringue. You know, because you're just in focused so much and just trying to get it done, and you know, and knowing that you could do it if it worked out properly.
Right? You just become really determined.
And I made it 3 times. But the s'more was everybody loved it because the crew ends up you know, going through with the leftovers, and then they can give you their judging feedback as well. So yeah, that was a really good cookie. The love cake was for my mom.
Yeah.
The samosas,
Yes.
cheeseburger samosas.
Those sounded delish.
Yeah. And unfortunately, they got a little bit toasty because I had to divide up the batch for the air fryer. Yeah. So the first 6 were fantastic, and the next 6 were a little toasty. But they also were amazingly flavored. Yeah. Like they were very tasty. Anne said she could have eaten 100 of them. So
that's a compliment.
Yeah. And then week 4 was the tiramisu. Yeah. I also really enjoyed doing the fika. The fika was fun to do.
The fika, that was such a beautiful show.
Very involved.
Yeah. But it was redundant work of fun. It was fun to do. And then in 5 was arts and crafts, was my focaccia, which was for my mom. Right?
Yeah, with the giraffe.
So 2 of my signatures were for my mom. So and then the macarons, well, we won't even talk about those. But yeah, the idea was great. And
the idea was
innovative.
Brilliant. I loved your caterpillars.
100%. Yeah.
And the green color that you were able to achieve on those was like really
thank
good.
You.
They were beautiful.
Yeah, you haven't been able to watch our recap yet because we just came on an hour ago. But
so I'm going to do that after this, and it's hilarious though, because when you're hearing the recap, you're going, well, that's not quite how it worked. But you know, it's how
we only know the edit.
We only know what we see on TV, right? So
although
because we make some assumptions.
Yeah, but when we were talking about the s'mores, your s'mores cookies and the making the marshmallow again, I think Steve did say that.
Yeah, he said, you know, meringue. Go for the meringue. And I plan on making them again, not at the size that they are because they were ridiculously huge, all those stuffed cookies.
Yes.
But I plan on making them again because the cookie's so tasty. It's a dulce de leche cookie. And how can you go wrong with that, right?
You can't.
So, so I'm going to make it again, and I'm going to use meringue for the top of it.
Well, make sure that you tell us after you listen to the next episode what we got wrong. Because we are happy to be corrected.
Feel free to do that on all of the episodes.
For anything.
But you know what? But like, you're only given what you know.
That's right. Yeah, we don't get 7 to 8 minutes of judging.
No, yeah, exactly. So you don't hear what is all, because, you know, even going back to cake week, and it was like, oh, it's a chocolate cake. Well, yeah, it was a chocolate cake, but it also had caramel Swiss meringue buttercream, and it had stroopwafels in it, and it had chocolate ganache.
They didn't say that you had stroopwafels in there?
No, and I didn't make the stroopwafels because I was making too many elements anyways. And that's part of the work with culinary, right? Because the culinary producer will say, you're doing too many elements, or you're not doing enough elements.
Right.
I don't think Jen ever listened though, when the word was too many elements.
Especially this last week with her shadow box.
Yeah,
she did leave off a few things.
And still amazed everybody.
I know. I was in the station in front of her, and it's 20 minutes left in the bake, and she was still baking the frame, some of the frame pieces. And it's like, I'm looking behind, and it's like, you know, things are coming together for me. And it's like,
and you waving off her to help her too.
Yeah, exactly. But she had it. She just was able to work so methodically.
She is so focused.
Yeah. You know, because when I heard her say oven, because we have to tell when we're going in the oven, right? So they can have a camera on. And I'm like, you got like 20 minutes left in the bake.
What could possibly be in there?
And then, so we talk afterwards, and it was the frame pieces of her shadow box, because she made them, she baked them in a silicone form, if I recall correctly. Jen, you can correct me too. But you know, but you don't know all the details because you're given the overview, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, very true. Yeah. And sometimes we'll see what they write on and you'll hear this too, because it was talking about your pistachio shells and pistachio white chocolate buttercream, but it didn't
ganache.
oh, ganache, sorry. It said pistachio in one place and it said white chocolate in another place. And I was like, I'm assuming that it was pistachio white chocolate because
Yeah,
one place said this and one place said this. And
yeah,
she said pistachio. So I'm
Yeah.
taking it right out of
Oh,
Rita's
yeah.
mouth.
and actually, the other question we were wondering is because your shells, were they pistachio flavored as well?
I had put some, I had made some pistachio flour
Okay.
out of pistachios. And
Mhm.
so I was, again, cups, if you can imagine. Half
I
a cup.
can't. I
know,
can't.
it's just the craziest thing. So it was half a cup of almond flour and a quarter a cup of pistachio flour.
Okay.
Mm.
So
And it
50%.
shouldn't, yeah,
2-to-1
Did you
ratio.
use a gel color for those shells or did you use a powder color? Because that
gel,
Gel.
Americolor.
just beautiful.
So cute.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
And I
Seriously,
put dimples on the ones for Kyla.
such a cute design. Like
Thank
really
you.
clever. Really, really clever.
Thank you.
Yeah, we loved it for sure.
We did love them.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
We digressed a bit. All right.
We do that.
Next
Like
one.
it.
Yes, but that was awesome. Yeah. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Yeah. Nice. Do you have a favorite type of chocolate?
I have, if I'm just going to eat a chocolate bar, it'll be a Milka.
Oh,
European chocolate.
In Europe. Yeah.
Yeah. I like doing desserts that have different types of chocolate in them.
mhm.
So I've also been able to get the, white chocolate has its place, obviously. But to eat it as a bar,
Mhm.
not really my thing, but to have it in a layered mousse.
Yeah.
With like I do lemon white chocolate mousse.
Yeah.
Right. So there's the tang of the lemon to offset some of the sweetness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll eat any type of chocolate.
Yeah. There you go.
Did you
'Cause it all
did
has
you hear us say yum in unison?
Because it all has its place, right?
It
Yes.
really does.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I always make sure I have a cupboard full of baking chocolate. And I will take things like Kraft Dinner.
Mhm.
My grandson calls them Canada noodles. And things that Elizabeth can't get here.
Yeah.
She
Yes.
just in one of her notes to me today, she said, "I'm out of her the eggs,
Oh, mini eggs.
mini eggs."
Oh, mini eggs.
Cadbury mini eggs.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so we'll bring stuff over like that, and then I will bring back chocolate
Mm.
and other chocolate and Birkenstocks and what have you back, and wet canning jars too lately.
Yes.
Because they're so expensive here.
Here, yeah. Are they much cheaper?
Yeah.
Really?
That's great.
Okay. Good
Unless
to
you have
know.
to pay for an extra bag or overweight fees or whatever.
Yeah.
Make sure you
yeah.
have that room in your suitcase
Yeah.
before you go over.
Yeah, exactly. But normally because we take so much, like
There.
both Jeff and I have a set of clothes there. So
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just
great.
taking what they need and then bringing back what I
What
want.
you need.
Yeah.
This is such a good system, Rita.
That is.
Yeah, because like things like gelatin sheets,
Mhm.
I buy over there
Yeah.
at a restaurant supply, and it's
Oh.
300 to a box, and it's for like 30 euros. And like if you get 20 sheets for $10 on Amazon, that's what you're
Mhm.
paying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
So
That's
things
amazing.
like that.
That's amazing.
Nice.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Nice to have a European
Connection.
connection
Yeah.
and home.
If the Canadian dollar would just do a little bit.
Yeah, right.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Origami cake or wafer cookies?
You know what? I could, I was really close with my wafer cookies.
Mhm.
So I would think I could replicate them easier than that crazy cake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy cake.
That was.
Yeah, and you made it. Like it's like, oh my goodness. I actually went on Amazon to see if they had origami frames, and you can get them, right?
Oh,
For cakes, but not for little cakes. It would be like for
just a bigger one.
yeah, a bigger one. And I thought, well, maybe I'll do that. And I go, that's
Yeah.
so much icing though, so much frosting.
no.
That is a lot. Now, did you
Yeah.
go through all the icing? That was a question I had for you because the
There's a lot.
recipe there was a lot of icing for two smallish cakes. Did you use
well,
all
and there was a lot of icing for the wafer cookies, but I thought back to the wafer cookies that my mom always had, and there was hardly any icing. But Kyla wanted more icing, and I was like, "Well, that makes sense. Like we made a ton of it."
Yeah.
So,
I still can't.
yeah,
I think
and I don't
have.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I think I have the icing for the wafer cookies, and I still had a ton. In fact, I still have some.
Oh, you
in my
have
freezer.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
I still,
Oh yeah,
I
no,
have it.
that part was a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. It was great because I had to make a cake for my birthday buddy, Casey, who was turning 8. And so she got strawberry buttercream on her unicorn
Yeah.
cake.
Awesome. Yeah.
Or raspberry or whatever it was. Hi, buddy. Are you coming up?
Yeah,
Okay.
I made cookies and cream version of them.
Yeah,
Oh,
she made
that'd be good.
those
Yeah,
little
because you
mummies.
made the like the Halloween ones.
Yeah.
The little mummies.
Yeah.
This is Tuxedo.
Hi, Tuxedo.
Hey, Tux. Alrighty. Cookies or cakes?
To make or to eat?
Both.
I have way more experience with cookies.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're beautiful.
oh, thank you.
Yes, well done with the flooding.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. But there was a problem in the tent, if you can imagine.
What? That never happened.
Yeah, so
What are you talking about?
the royal icing, because I use pasteurized egg whites.
Yes.
I'm the only cookie person that I know that makes royal icing out of pasteurized egg whites. Everybody else uses meringue powder.
I like to do it with the egg whites too.
Yeah.
And so, but they did not, the cookies that I wanted to stand up for my cookie map, some of them, the icing was just going down.
Right.
So for the cookies that I did for the comic cake and also for Whistler, I used the dehydrator and the air fryer.
Oh, brilliant. Just to
Oh.
dry them up. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very smart.
Yeah. So if
Oh,
you get in there and you're doing royal icing, use the dehydrator and the,
that is so smart because I was always wondering, I'm like, unless you're always doing wet on wet, then how in the world do you manage to get any kind of layers
yeah.
of royal ice?
And the like I did simple decoration because you only have a certain amount of time, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're adding a whole lot of details on afterwards.
Yeah,
that
that's
makes
true.
sense.
But I love it was simple and effective.
Yes.
It looked so beautiful.
They were
Thank you.
gorgeous.
Yes,
Mhm.
definitely.
So
Sorry.
to make cookies, I will make cake. I do not like making cupcakes because Calgary's crazy altitude. They all end up with divots.
Oh.
You can fill them. Just scoop them out and then
Yeah,
throw
yeah.
a filling in there and then put your
Yeah.
icing. Nobody would know any better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but she's going to want them to be perfect because it's nice to have them come out perfect. And if you're going to have a divot every single time you try, it becomes
It's just
very
frustrating. Yeah. Yeah.
Or you can divot them out and then fill them.
Yeah, it's a good saving.
Yeah. But like I'll do a lot of jarred desserts,
Yes.
you know, but
Yeah.
you know, no bake cheesecakes and that kind of stuff, mousse cakes and the like. I threw together a no bake Nanaimo bar cheesecake last week and it turned out really good. So
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Was that for some kind of occasion?
It was for for an office lunch dessert,
nice.
but I'm doing them this week for one of my niece's birthdays.
Oh, very cool.
That sounds
Yeah.
wonderful. Sorry, Christina, I didn't realize I skipped that question.
It's okay.
I didn't do that on purpose.
I got you,
She
girl. I got
She
you.
backed up. I said question 5, and then she went ahead and did question 4, but I thought she was the one who was out of order. No, it was me. So,
Oh, good. I got
question 6, winter or summer in Calgary?
Summer.
We're so hot.
Oh.
I mean, growing up in Sherwood Park, I found it really, really hot in Alberta. I guess it might be different in southern Alberta.
Well, because we have altitude.
Yeah.
Our nights generally cool down.
Yeah.
You know, but winter can just be
long
and dark.
Depressing and
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
fair.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you usually like to do? I mean, you travel around all over the place, but when you're home in the summer, in the winter time, what kinds of
Complain.
Okay. I really led you right into that one, didn't I?
I spent 5 years in Winnipeg.
Oh, okay. So
when Elizabeth was just a baby.
Yeah.
And like those winters are just unbelievable. And I decided that at that point in time, the only season I was going to complain about was winter.
Yeah.
So I complain about it still in Calgary, but it's not near as severe as in Winnipeg. But if your daughter is a winter athlete,
yeah,
I have a really good coat, and I have really good boots, and I have a really nice toque, and I have good mitts and stuff like that.
And yet you still complain.
Yeah.
We complain about the rain all the time out here on the West Coast.
We do.
I try not to complain because it doesn't change anything.
That's
Yes,
right.
yeah.
And I spend a lot of the winter actually in Europe.
Yeah.
That's
because
then you get the rain.
Yeah, so I go like crazy with my cookies and other things that I do right up till Christmas, right before Christmas. And my husband is generally over in Europe ahead.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then he comes home, and then I stay for however long.
Mm-hmm.
Because Calgary, they talk about the January blahs. You've just come off of Christmas and everything, and they're like, the best way to beat the Calgary January blahs is not to be in Calgary.
There you go. I love that advice.
That is very good advice.
Yeah.
All right. Arts and Crafts Week or Savory Week?
Arts and Crafts. Arts and Crafts was my favorite week, I think.
I think everybody loved that week. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had
so
we had fun. Everybody's able to do fun things and the like, and just the imaginative bakes again. With the focaccias, and Ericasaurus was just a riot.
Oh,
it was amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
it.
Yeah, and so it was really fun to be in her neighborhood too.
Yeah.
I think. Jen was in front of me that week, and just to be, and Jen with her amazing kimono and the like, and everybody did such a fantastic job on their ideas coming to life, as it were. And that wreath, oh my goodness, that wreath.
Just it did.
Yeah, unbelievable. And then the cartoon cakes. And even though somebody in your group didn't think it was a zoetrope last week, and
it wasn't me.
I know.
Did you hear what I said?
I feel like I didn't get a word in edgewise in that.
Brilliant. That was brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
To that next level.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
but it was like, I tried to do it what he suggested, because I had 4 different graduated cookie cutters. But in the trial run, I couldn't get them to fit properly. So I had to narrow it down that way. But the idea was there.
Yeah.
Maybe not to the exact description of what a zoetrope is. But the sucker moved.
It was beautiful. I think everything was so perfectly like, why I hate perimenopause. Words are gone. Anyway, it was precise and beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
It really was. It was,
and it was the cake flavor based on my mom's favorite summertime treat was a creamsicle or an orange float.
Yeah.
And so to have that and have Bruno say that that's what it tasted like was just awesome.
Yeah. And then they really great words about your focaccia as well. That was also honoring your mom with the giraffe, which again, I clearly saw. I don't know.
I could see. I didn't understand why they were saying you couldn't tell it was.
I know. Yeah, I think that was Steven.
Yeah.
I don't know about those fabulous baker boys.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, it looked like a giraffe to me.
They're trying. Do you know they're trying to take over our podcast?
Oh,
right. How dare they?
How
They
dare
did
they?
it again almost this week too.
Yeah, they almost did.
Anyway, but yeah, and Bruno said that was what a focaccia should be.
I literally, and I was hoping that they would have gotten this on film. That I went literally skipping out of the tent after that, because I was a little bit emotional because of Mom, and then when he said that, because you go for an interview after your signature is judged, right? And you're not there you're there for some of the judging, for some of the other bakers, but and then you go and have a little interview after the signature bake. And yeah, Marcus goes, I saw you skipping out of the tent. He's like, I was 59 years old and 9 months at that point in time. It's like, yeah,
You're gonna skip.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip. If Bruno says it tastes Italian, I'm skipping out of that tent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Absolutely.
earned every moment of that skip, definitely.
Yes. Thanks.
Puff pastry or phyllo pastry?
Are you making it on a crepe pan over boiling water?
Your choice.
I would say a rough puff.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not usually that organized or disciplined to do a full puff, but I can do a really quite a good rough puff.
Rough puff. Yeah. Those
Yeah,
are great.
that sounds
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yes, exactly.
Or you can just have some in your freezer
Yeah, exactly.
or bought.
Or you can be Marcus.
Or you can be Marcus. Do a full puff.
Unbelievable.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Rough puff's the way to go.
Yeah.
Baking in your gorgeous kitchen that you're sitting in right now, or baking in the Great Canadian Baking Show tent.
Oh, you know what? I would go back in a minute.
Yeah.
Just because of the experience, how wonderful it was. My kitchen is always going to be here. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
True.
but you know, just the experience that the tent offered, and just, you know, the surroundings of it, and the people that you're with, and just the rhythm that you get into, and the people in the production that you meet, and the people that are ferrying you to and from the hotel and stuff like that. It's just an absolute wonderful experience.
That's so great. I imagine that it was the first time in a long time that you had really had a lot of time just for you and to focus on something that was really just for you.
Yeah, it was. And you know, that was the comment that would come back. This is something that you get to do for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was awesome.
I'm really glad you did it. We're all glad
I
you
am
did it.
too. I'm glad that it worked out, and that I was able to be there for as long as that I was. And you know what, those those last 4 women are so talented, not to mention everybody that was before.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But just to see what they were able to put together was just unbelievable.
Yeah, it is crazy. I'm so looking forward to the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Me
it's
too, because
amazing.
just to see how it works out.
And I, you know, the other thing that I really have loved over the last couple of weeks is Erica's confidence level is just soaring. And it's just such a beautiful thing to see her bake in the tent with, again, so much joy and fun. And she's so relaxed. And the last couple of weeks she's had, I mean, you could argue she could have been star baker both of those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Just brilliant to see.
It wouldn't have been a surprise if she was.
No, exactly. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Not to take anything away from Jen's masterpiece either, but Erica, I think, was right up there with her the last couple of weeks for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It was like, it was really nice that you know, Erica was able to just work through some things and just enjoy baking and having fun.
Yeah. It's wonderful to see Erica. I mean, I kind of, from the moment that I first saw the bios and Erica came on my tiny little screen on my phone, I was like, oh, I really like this person. Yeah. I really, really like this person. And so I've just been fascinated with Erica throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. And she's very likable, and
very likable
and very funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And we were saying,
it's hard to pick like who is like the funniest out of the group, really. I mean,
well, we have different, it's a different type of humor.
Yeah,
for sure. Yes, absolutely. You know? But I appreciate all the humor.
Yes. And it makes things easier when it's a really stressful situation.
That's for sure. Yeah, definitely.
It's
gotta face it with a smile.
There's always somebody finding that joy and the you know, the lightness of you know, probably some really heavy situations and stuff. throughout the
when things aren't going well and you know, somebody's struggling, like, you know, when Guillaume had hit, like, you're just looking at that tiramisu and you're just willing it to stay.
Yeah, that was so hard to watch.
Yeah. And he's so talented and he's so imaginative and bringing things from nature. Like, I'm bringing nothing from nature. I'm bringing stuff in packages. Oh my goodness. You know,
his flavors.
It's like
the flavors.
I would look and he'd be saying something. It's like, you're gonna try what? You know, it's like,
wow.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do my chocolate over here.
Yeah, I'll just melt my chocolate.
Chocolate. Yeah. There's something to be said for chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate.
I'll take away from that, ladies.
Yeah.
All right, you're ready for this last question, right?
Maybe. Oh, it's the butter tart question.
Yes.
It's the butter tart question.
Butter tarts, raisins or no raisins?
I don't eat butter tarts.
Okay, that's a good answer too.
But I make butter tarts for people that love my butter tarts and they have raisins in them.
Okay.
But I don't eat them. Like, I'm funny story. I have a beautiful doctor and I came back from Europe and the next day I had my annual. This was last July. Bad idea. And so she put me on a low glycemic diet. So,
oh no.
Yeah.
Of course she did.
Oh no.
And yeah, because I was pre-diabetic. And so
wow.
Over the year, I stuck mainly to the low glycemic diet. So things like butter tarts are never going to tempt me. There's other things that are going to tempt me to have. But you know, a little taste here and there kind of thing. Yeah. So I'm seeing her actually in a week. And so she wanted me to lose weight, which I have, which was also good to be in the tent that, you know, there was less sore knees and you could just handle being on your feet and the heat, although the heat never bothered me.
Oh, good.
I wore a jacket in the hottest days in the tent. So it was like, oh man. So anyways, I told her.
That's surprising.
Yeah. The first week was the hottest week that I was there. And then there were some pretty cool weeks where both Pam and I would, for the showstopper judging, would have turned our ovens back on, and in between everybody just go and stand in front of the oven and try to stay a little warm.
Wow.
Yeah. So I totally got off topic. We were talking about
your doctor. You're going back.
Yes, I have to go see my doctor in a few weeks. And I said to her, doctor, you'll be very proud of me. We'll celebrate with cake.
There you go.
Oh, that's going to be great.
That's wonderful.
And it was really good time. I mean, it all worked out, right? The way that it was supposed to. So you were able to be there for your grandkids. And
definitely. Like, I'm a firm believer in God's timing of things. And my daughter needed me. And I needed to, like, I hadn't seen her until since she had made this huge life decision. And so I got to be mom and grandma again. And not just baker.
Yeah. It was probably time. That's good.
Yeah. I totally agree. It was time. And, you know, going into the next week's bakes, it was like those was mind-boggling. Yeah.
Okay. So we saw in the preview that there is Kek Lapis Sarawak cake, which is crazy. What in the world? So you're happy you didn't have to do that?
I didn't hurt my feelings. You know?
There you go.
Like here was my goals. Here's my goals, and I think my goal was to get to the finale. Yeah, I didn't need to win the plate, but I wanted to get to the finale. I also wanted to be Miss Congeniality more than Star Baker, right? Yeah. Because what kind of pressure does that put on a person, you know? Yeah. And I usually did things that guaranteed me of not being in the running for Star Baker. And I didn't want my apron to look like I was part of a crime scene.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good goal.
I wanted to be able to help people if they needed help.
Yes.
And I also was on the receiving end of help, right? You know, there was times where I needed help, but there was times that I was fortunate enough to be able to help with whatever, you know. So those are my 4 or 5 goals.
That's
Those are good goals.
beautiful goals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like them.
Mhm.
Well, do you have a baking scrap for us to share?
Now, what do you call it? What would you think is a baking scrap? Like just a little tweak, a little.
Yeah, some kind of tip or trick or wise words just to kind of help out maybe somebody who's been struggling with baking or somebody who's just new to baking.
Yeah, like throw away your scale. You don't need them to make macarons.
Like, and I went back to that recipe and I haven't made them since the 10th. And so I thought, well, maybe I transferred them into grams. No, it's the only recipe that I have that is
That's
in
in
cups.
cups.
And it's like, shouldn't work. It should not work.
Well,
And
I would love, if you are able to share that recipe with me, I would love to attempt to
yeah,
make it.
It's just the craziest thing. And it worked in a humid climate.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you're not preheating the oven.
Yeah.
And it's just like mind-boggling. Erica did give me help with my macarons because I had the big sheet pan.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were getting around the edges, they were
Mhm.
getting burnt.
Yeah.
And so she told me, flip it over. And so I have now been baking macarons
Yes.
on the
the
flat
upside
side.
down.
Yeah, the upside down one. So thanks, Erica, for that. And that's what I did with these ones because normally the recipe is like 2 half sheet pans, but not quite 2.
Mm,
And so the second tray doesn't work out as good as the first tray.
right.
And I don't know why.
Oh, because of the way that they go in right away. So your oven's automatically going to be a lot warmer.
Yeah,
when you put the
exactly.
second
So
one in.
yeah, and you
makes
can't
sense.
just have them sit.
Mm,
So
Mm,
my baking scrap is to have fun.
that's the best baking scrap.
that's the
Yeah.
best.
And you know what? If something goes into the compost, it goes in the compost.
Yeah.
I have a friend who has 8 children. And so they don't care what it looks like.
Yeah.
You know? And so, and also baking doesn't define who you are. Like
Yeah.
you bake.
Yeah.
It's something you do. It's not something you are. So
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Love those.
Yeah. Very, very excellent.
thank
Thank you
you.
for being here with us
Yes.
today, Rita.
Oh, you're welcome. This was
So
fun.
wonderful.
Good. I'm
Really
really glad
wonderful
that you
having
had
you here.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so great talking with you. And we look forward to seeing your face again on the finale.
Yes, I look forward to being back there.
It's been such a pleasure.
Thank
So
you. Me too.
thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to hear the recap.
Well, I guess that's what you're doing now. So
Yeah,
enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Sounds
Have a
good.
great rest of your
I'll
night.
see you.
Yeah, take
Thanks.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, did you have so much fun talking to Rita?
Yes. Yes. She was, I mean, she was exactly what I thought
Yeah,
she
Yeah.
would be, right?
she is
Joyous.
as she seems. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, she was who she was on the Great Canadian Baking Show, which was a wonderful light and joy and fun and fun sense of humor, just all the good things packaged into one Rita. I can't. What are they doing back there? They
Fighting.
were excited that Rita was on our podcast this week too.
Guys, can you be quiet so I can finish this, please?
They're just playing. They're like, what?
Yeah, they're like, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were
What
just
are you
playing.
talking about?
Oh, can we just do this again?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, you said good part of it, and then you said something about package into one Rita.
Yes.
I will just say, yes, I loved speaking with her. I think she was amazing and so much fun. And I just love her outlook on everything.
Mhm.
You know, being
Absolutely.
able to just be like, you know, bad things happen and hard times are going to come. But if you go into something expecting it to be good, it's going to be good because
Exactly.
you can't help it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I love how, I think what really stuck with me is you're not defined by what you do. So you bake. You're not a baker. And I think that's kind of a cool thing. Or, just
That's not the
that.
only thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not, yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And,
100%.
and about finding that sense of humor, even in the
Yeah.
darkest places,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we had a conversation recently just about that.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it does make such a world of difference, your perspective, your mindset on life and being kind
Yes.
and a good human being.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well,
Yeah.
I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, my friend.
I'm
This
really glad we had this time together and to share
Same.
a little chat with Rita. That was wonderful.
Sounds awesome. Well, in the meantime, we will catch up with you next week.
Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You as well.
Happy baking.
Happy baking, everyone. Bye.